was, our theme was understanding the world around us, and this is a 5th grade class. Kristen, Melissa, Lindsay,
Abby.
Okay, are you guys ready? Be 5th grade, right? Good morning, class.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing this morning? Good. Okay. I'm glad because I need all of y'all's brains on for our lesson today. I'm going to ask you guys a question really quick. Who all has seen Finding Nemo? Oh, me too. It's a great movie, right? Right?
Yes,
Great movie.
best movie.
Classic. Okay. So, we've watched Finding Nemo. Could anybody tell me what the theme of the movie is? Kelsey?
Find a dad finding his son.
Okay. Would that be a plot or a theme? Ooh.
Go ahead.
You answer.
Phoning a friend.
Phoning a friend, okay?
That's a plot, kind of. Kind of. But it's about like father, son, love.
Okay, so maybe family. Can you tell me why?
Because Marlin is all sad because he lost Nemo and he has to do all these crazy things to find him. He doesn't care because he loves him.
Okay, so it's dedication to your family. What about you?
The theme could also be the fact that they're used to this small little world, and then when Nemo gets into a different world, it's like a new experience for them. So they have to adapt and learn because they're not used to that's not normal for them.
Okay, could you condense that into how would you say that? Maybe one or two words.
Understanding the world
Okay.
outside of their own.
Okay, Emily.
I was going to say it could be respecting your parents, because that's like the last part, like at the end, that's like what happens. He's
Respecting
like,
your parents.
oh, my dad does know something, like there's reasons why he tells me not to do things, so finally
Okay.
you get to respect for your dad.
That's excellent, guys. When I was thinking about this movie, I was thinking a theme could be, there are several themes actually. One was friendship between Dory and Marlin. That's a big chunk of the movie, but is it okay that I thought of a different theme than some of you guys? Why? Why is that okay?
Because theme is the way you interpret.
Theme is the way you interpret. So that answers my next question. What is theme? Theme is basically when you read a story, or you watch a movie, or you see a TV show, it's going to be the message that you take from it and how you can apply it. Meaning, if I saw Finding Nemo, I got out of it that it was about friendship. Where Emily got out of it that it was about respecting your parents. Kelsey thought it was about, what did you say? Exploring a new world around you. So it is okay that there can be multiple themes. It's actually really interesting that you guys all think something different. So what we're actually going to do to introduce our lesson today is you all have a baggie on one of your tables. Don't open them yet. Just wait for my directions and then we're going to get started, okay? In each baggie, there's a different scenario on each slip of paper, okay? So each person in your group is going to get a slip of paper. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find the corresponding people, in other words, the people with the same slip of paper as you, you're going to find each other, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to read your scenario as a group, and then what I want you guys to do is discuss what you think the theme is. There is no right or wrong, so just because your group thinks one thing, if you have another idea, don't be afraid to bring it up. We want as many ideas going back and forth as we can. We're going to be walking around listening. And then what we're going to do is ask you once you're done to let us know what your group decided was your theme, and then we want you to justify it. Tell us what about your scenario made you think it was that theme. All right. You guys ready? Does anybody have any questions about what we're about to do?
Do we need to write it down?
You don't have to write it down, no ma'am.
Is it an individual person? Like I'm confused.
There's a group. There's going to be about 4 or 5 people that have the same slip of paper as you. So you guys have to figure out. You're going to find the people with the same slip of paper as you. Each person at the table is going to have one of your scenarios. Just find each other.
Yeah, for our group of 5, one of you can just partner up with someone. I can take it right now.
So we're going to get up, move around a little bit, but let's try to keep the noise level down. I know it's kind of exciting. It's early. We're going to be getting up, so let's keep kind of calm. Okay, ready? Go. Remember, once you find your slip of paper, you're walking into finding the rest of your friends that have the same scenario. Okay, Say hi, Johnny. John, will come over here. Hi, John. Alright. Okay, y'all can sit up. We want to hear some dialogue. We want you guys to be talking about the different types of theme it might be.
So, you did the right thing. By turning it in. It feels like responsible.
You could have just kept it.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I was looking for. Every word responsible and I feel.
Like, kept it edited into copy instead of, like, no one would have ever known. Like, you knew the right thing, you wouldn't know. Like, when you know, you wouldn't have gotten caught. Because the manager would be so we have several, like, different
Well, it was honesty, but I couldn't think of the word, so I was thinking like trusting, but honesty.
and I said that it was doing the right thing even when no one's looking, because he could have just kept the $5 bill, but he decided not to because he turned it in, and then it turned, because the manager dropped it, he would have never known, he just kept it, but instead he did the right thing. It was good.
Justification.
That one person can trust you, you know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you have any personal connections to the series you read? Are you loyal to your friends? Explain that to me.
She's not.
She's not.
Let's leave that aside. Okay, we'll address this after class, but let's leave that aside. And does someone else have a personal connection or an experience?
Okay, well, I love my friends very much, and if I heard someone saying mean things about them, I would be very angry. And
Okay. Do you have an example?
yes, one time in class,
Let's not call any names. Let's not call any names.
okay,
For the purposes of this.
one of my friends was saying mean things about another of my friends, calling her stupid, and I had to tell her that she's not stupid just because she doesn't understand, and that she can learn, and
Okay, that's very
the
good.
teacher can help her some
Well, I have a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
I have a teacher that's mean and unloyal because she tattles.
Okay, so she was unloyal. So how is that different from the scenario you were given? Was Lucy loyal or was she unloyal?
She was very loyal.
Right, but you can still connect to it, correct? Because she was unloyal. Does anyone else have another example?
I do. I love being loyal to my friends. I love standing up for them when other people are talking.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So as far as when you first read this story, what first came to your mind? That she was loyal?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say that because everybody might think that of me.
Yes. I'm not going to say that. I'll just say that somebody betrayed me because they just love me.
So now you know how Cindy feels?
Yep, Cindy's mad.
I'm sorry for saying
You're Jeffrey, you already said
I was just so in love with Monica.
You had to betray Cindy.
Well,
How do you think Cindy feels personally?
Okay, class, if I can get everyone that's done to try it up, if you're still working, go ahead and discuss. But if you are done, can I just have you no longer talk to your group? Okay, if you're still working, that's okay. Are y'all done back there? Okay, so now that we've discussed theme, I have a really good point that I want to bring up that Kelsey's group thought of. Do you think that it's easier to determine a theme when you have a personal connection to the story? Yes, and why? Can one person tell me why they think that? When you have a personal connection to a story, why is it easier for you to find the message? Okay, Emily?
Maybe because you can relate to the feelings that that person might be having, and so you can relate to their struggle or their...
So if you've had a personal experience, it's easier to describe it, right? Okay, Terry?
I got another example. It's like when you hear a song that you like. Some
Okay.
people connect with certain songs because the words kind of like relate more to what they've been going through.
Right, and that's a good point. A theme can also be in a song too, right? We talked about movies and books. Kelsey?
I think that if you read something and you've never experienced or heard anything about it, then you can't determine the theme because
you don't have that much
You don't have
knowledge
the
about this,
The
yeah.
knowledge.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna look at one more theme that's a little bit different than some of the scenarios that you guys had that were positive. This one's gonna be a little bit different, so I want you to pay close attention as I read you this, and then I'm gonna give you a few minutes to discuss with your groups that you're in right now. Okay? All right. It says, one day, Miss Smith introduced a new student named Carly to her 6th grade class. Carly moved to town from Durango, Mexico with her family because of her father's job. She felt shy and out of place sitting in her new surroundings, knowing no one. The next day, the students avoided Carly and sat with their regular friend groups at lunch. Carly felt like an outsider in her new school because of this treatment. The other students did not know if Carly could speak English or not, but did not try and communicate. They were unsure of how to act around this new immigrant student. Carly immediately disliked her new school and dreaded going every day. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to talk with your groups about the message that this story is portraying, this short scenario. So go ahead, a couple minutes.
So what are some things you guys noticed?
Because I thought she was being judged.
Yeah.
She felt judged.
Okay, why do you say that?
They didn't give her a chance.
Okay, why do you think they wouldn't give her a chance?
She might have looked different, and she might not have started school when they did, so come in like at a different time.
Okay, so we don't know. Can you understand that?
Because I moved a lot, and I moved in the middle of school year sometimes, and it was hard when everybody had already formed their bonds, and you didn't have that from the beginning.
I agree. Well, see, okay, so, did you guys ever feel that way?
Coming back over here.
I mean, I've never moved, but
You might have been on the other side.
You might have been the judge.
You might have been the one that was
Okay,
scared
now here's an
to.
interesting perspective. You guys are thinking about it from Carly's perspective. Do you know what it feels like to have somebody come in and you're like, I'm not so sure, I want to really get to know you, don't really about you, already have a friends?
No, I like to talk to everybody, and I'm very
Okay, let's come back together, class.
Kind of hard to like get out of here.
All right, as you're finishing up your thoughts.
So what do you think the theme is?
Maybe to not, well, I have to listen.
Is our back table ready back there? I'm sorry. I know you're having good thoughts back there. I can hear what you're saying. So let's put this into a graphic organizer. Can someone tell me what they know about graphic organizers already before going into it? What do you think a graphic organizer would be? Okay, something to organize your thoughts. And they can be used for several different reasons. But today we're going to look at putting all our thoughts that we've already talked about in relation to theme and as pertaining to this scenario in a graphic organizer. And you all are going to help me fill this out. So we're using this one. That's what's the big idea, what we've been talking about all day. So we'll put our name here. Okay, and then for the sake of book title, you could use a book, it could be a movie, like Terry explained a song. We're just going to put the short passage that we were given. Okay, and as far as big idea or topic, I heard a few good keywords that some groups brought up as far as theme. What is one of those words? What is one word that you could use to describe the passage we just read?
We said stereotype.
You said stereotyping? Okay, does anyone have anything else? Or does everyone agree with that? Is there another word that would be similar to stereotyping? Judging about? Judging. I'm thinking of one other word. Prejudice or discrimination when you're acting out against them. So we'll put stereotyping for the purpose of this. Okay, and what makes you think that it was stereotyping? What was going on in the story? I'll put this up here. We're going to use the details that we found to fill out this section. What are some things in the story that you found? What did the characters do? That's okay, go ahead.
They didn't sit with her.
Okay, they didn't sit with her. So it said, who did they sit with? Their regular friend groups? Students avoided Carly. Okay, so what did the characters do? They avoided the new student.
And Carly was shy, so she stayed to herself.
Okay.
And she probably looked foreign, so they just assumed she couldn't speak English.
Right. These are great details. Kelsey, can you repeat what you just said?
Yes, ma'am. She said, I said that she felt shy, so she probably stayed to herself.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone have a different, last detail that we could add in our organizer?
They stereotyped her because, what Allison said, they just assumed that she probably couldn't speak English, so they didn't try to talk to her.
Okay. And why was that? How was she different than the other students?
They could tell that she was foreign. She probably was a little
Where was she from?
Mexico.
Okay. Now, because of these three things that we wrote down, what can you take away from this story? What is your message that you take away? What can you learn from the theme that we determined of stereotyping? Okay, go ahead.
We said, like, we know that they're judging her, so we said we thought that we would take away from this not to treat others that you would want to be treated, because if we were in her shoes, we wouldn't want to be treated that way.
Is that a thing that you've heard before?
Mm-hmm.
And does anyone have a different message that they found that they can connect with? Go ahead, Taylor.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Okay, that's a great one. Has anyone heard of that message before? Don't judge a book by its cover? Kelsey, I saw your hand up.
I would say maybe a message is like that people are scared of things that they don't know, because it says they were unsure of how to act around her because she was different. So maybe they were just intimidated and like they were just scared to interact with her because they just didn't know much.
So what would be your message that you're taking away? What would you do differently in that situation, knowing that someone was different than you? Do you agree with what happened in the story?
No, I disagree with what happens.
Okay.
Can you say something like try new things?
Try new things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, don't be afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
Maybe be
That's-
open-minded.
Yeah. Any of these I
Do you think that being open-minded can apply to different things other than just finding new friends? Okay, so that's great for our graphic organizer, and we're going to move on to the next concept using this. Thank you for your participation.
So I'm going to read a short little excerpt from a short story to y'all, and we should have graphic organizers to pass out for each student. That they're going to pass those out while I read these. Okay. So, title of the short story is Friends of Sandy Bay. You might think that city kids would get bored spending every holiday weekend in a small town like Sandy Bay, but Pat and I love staying with Auntie Bev and Uncle Joe. Auntie Bev is my mother's twin sister, and my brother and I are like the children she didn't have. This holiday weekend was no exception, and we were both full of anticipation as we got on the bus. I can't wait to run on those sand dunes along the beach, Pat said. What do you mean run on the sand dunes? I asked. I thought we'd agreed not to do that again after that woman came and spoke to us at school. Why she came to talk to city kids, I'll never know, Pat replied. And anyway, she wasn't talking about the dunes at Sandy Bay. She meant really big sand dunes in other places. No, she didn't mean other dunes, I reminded him. When she talked about sand dunes and how people walking and playing in them was one of the causes of erosion, she meant all sand dunes, even the ones at Sandy Bay. Pat obviously didn't want to argue, so the subject was dropped, and we mostly dozed until we reached the Brockby bus station very late that night. Uncle Joe and Auntie Bev were there to meet us. The car ride was full of talk about how everyone was and how things might have changed, but we would have to wait until the morning to see for ourselves. I was up early the next morning, even though I was tired. I never slept well my first night away from home. I headed for the beach, wanting to view the sun rising over the dunes, but within minutes, I was back inside the house. By now, my uncle was in the kitchen, and after quickly hugging him good morning, I asked him, what happened to the sand dunes? Erosion, he replied. It's an issue that's dividing Sandy Bay right now, he continued. Some of the townsfolk want to do something about it, but others just don't care. And no one has taken a leadership role for either side. The dunes look absolutely terrible, and ecosystems are being destroyed, said my aunt, coming into the room. You sound like the woman who came to our school, I said, hugging her. But surely there must be something we can do, I added. Already ideas were forming in my head. You see, I like to get involved with things like this, and I was certain that before we left Sandy Bay, I would have organized something. I knew that Pat certainly wouldn't be interested in spending his weekend helping, so I'd have to do it on my own or think of a way of persuading him. Maybe my aunt and uncle would help. I think we need to get together some sort of group to work on saving the dunes from further destruction, I said, in between bites of warm pancakes that my uncle was cooking. That's a good idea, he replied, but we know so little about it. Maybe we could find some more information on the internet, I said. Let me do that, and then we can talk about what to do next. I spent the rest of the morning finding out information about how to save sand dunes while Pat lazed on the beach. During lunch, Auntie Bev suddenly said, "You should go and talk to Jock. He's really into this sort of thing." "What do you think Jock can do?" I asked, remembering a reclusive sort of person with a bad limp, not much older than Pat and I think he might be surprised, Uncle Joe said. Okay, so now after hearing this story, I want you to individually fill out you can collaborate with groups, but every person needs to fill out a graphic organizer discussing the big idea and evidence from the story. If you need a reminder of this story, just raise your hand. If someone needs me to turn to a certain page, I can also do that. And remember, while you're collaborating with group members, you may have a different thought or main idea that you gain from the story than your other classmates. So keep that in mind.
I wouldn't say being proactive.
Wait, she said not
So like, I guess I would say being informed of your surroundings, or like, I don't know. What are y'all? That's what I think I'm
Like,
What are you thinking? Main idea?
like you'd be surprised if you help with savings.
You were saying as well, like being informed, because they heard about erosion. The speaker that came to the school, like the brother, I think, was like, I don't think they're talking about what's here, and so like taking what you hear about like in the news or other stuff and like applying it, like it really does happen everywhere. It's
Right.
that you can do about it.
That's a good one. What about the relationship between the main character and Pat? Pat did not hear about the news, remember? So what also would you hear about that in your environment around you in terms of sure.
So then how can you guys justify your thing with evidence, Brian?
Because the Pat was aware of the sand dunes, like he knew of them, but he wasn't so aware of the concept that he thought it applied to everything. Like he just assumed that was like other beaches. But then when he got there, they were all eroded, so obviously other people weren't aware either.
We can talk about the, what characters sand do to demonstrate this. They were first, they like first had the idea because of the lady who came to me at school. So like,
So an advocate, or we could just make it broad too, we just say an advocate for preserving the environment, talking about certain
Good detail. Do you think you want to enroll a leader? Or have you been enrolling? Good census.
To have someone share one of their big ideas they put in the bubble? Leadership? No. Emily?
Being aware of issues
and the environment around you.
Alright, that's a big one. Allison, you had your hand up?
Mine's different than all of theirs.
That's okay, what is it?
But I put like the main idea of the story that I took away from it. So for this particular story, it was saving the sand dunes.
Yeah, that's totally appropriate.
That's what the story is about. If it was saving the dolphins.
Okay. What about something that characters said or did in the story to support your big ideas? Do you have any examples of that?
They had the advocate for the environment, like that came talk to them at school,
Okay.
and they were like trying to apply that to their personal experience, like their family vacation.
And that made them aware of the environment, so it's like,
Yep, that supports your big idea. Anyone else? Lauren?
I said that he wanted to fix the problem before he left.
Well, y'all seem to be on the right track. We'll let you finish those up, and we're going to tell you about the writing project we have next for you.
Okay, so now we're gonna transition to writing. And we've been talking about environmental issues going on, like saving the sand dunes like they did in Sandy Bay. So can anybody tell me an environmental issue that they know about?
Global warming.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pollution.
sometimes there are oil spills.
Good, okay. So thinking about all of those, we're gonna write a draft at the end of the week about how we can help the environment. So you're gonna pick one of these two graphic organizers, and this is a circle map. And this is for if you know exactly what you wanna write about, you have your chosen topic, and that's gonna go in the center circle. So like if I wanna write about the sand dunes from Sandy Bay, I put sand dunes right there. And then this outside circle is gonna be all your supporting details. So like what causes the sand dunes destruction and how you can save them and anything you know about it. And then the box is your frame of reference. And that's gonna be all your information that you know, how you found out about it. So you can use articles we write in class, you can use personal experiences, movies, anything that helps you think about it. And then the other one is a tree map. And this is if you need to narrow down your ideas more. You have a few topics that you think you want to write about, but you're not for sure yet. And so up here is your big main idea, which ours is environmental issues. So environmental issues will go here. And then these three subtopics are be like pollution, deforestation, sand dunes. And then you're going to write all your supporting details underneath. And then later on we're going to go back and narrow your ideas so we can make a better draft. So you take out a sheet of paper and
You guys, you're gonna take about 2 minutes to do this, okay? We're gonna keep working on it later, but just for time's sake, we're gonna take about 2 minutes to write, to fill out your graphic organizer, okay?
If you have any questions about either, now is the time to ask.
And remember, if you're not sure what your theme is yet, you can use the tree map. You're gonna wanna use that circle map if you know for sure what you want to talk about.
Don't forget, if you're using the circle map, to include in the box where your information's coming from. If it's coming from your brain, that's okay, write that background knowledge.
So if we wrote your brain as, in your family reference, what's another way to say that? You can write brain in there.
My thoughts.
Yes, your what?
prior knowledge.
Your prior knowledge,
So you're
yes.
listing a lot of environmental issues.
Prior knowledge, background knowledge.
Should you maybe have done a tree map so you can organize that more?
I like this one.
You like this one?
Well,
Well, explain to me
one too.
what you're thinking.
I'm just trying to brainstorm. I can do one of these. I was just trying to get all my ideas right here, and then I'll narrow it down some more right here.
Don't apologize.
You're still thinking. That's what's important.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up this lesson today, I want you to put these organizers in a safe spot in your folders to bring back to class tomorrow, and we will address these again tomorrow at the same time. We'll bring them back out, continue, and finish up with our thoughts on this. Okay?